Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Suggs, author and motivational hacker. If you're new, welcome. And if you are a returning viewer, thank you for being here. In today's video, I have 8 mistakes that new writers make. So without further ado, let's get started. So first, I want to preface that these mistakes are mistakes that I've made in the past and that I am trying to correct as I write each book. I believe that practice makes perfect, though there is no such thing as perfect, but the more you write, the better you will get. And although I do have my degree in creative writing, I still feel like I'm constantly learning and I'm constantly making mistakes and just fixing it. So I am not judging by any means. I'm just saying, I'm just giving these tips for you to help you so that you don't make the same mistakes that I've made. So let's just get right into it. The very first mistake that I think new writers make is the telling and not showing aspect of writing. I think a lot of us do it. When I wrote my first book, I did a lot of telling, and it's something that you just have to work through and recognize. You know, if you see it, fix it. So I think that's the biggest lesson, is not to just say, oh, I can't do it, or it's too hard. It's just, I think it's first understanding that you're doing it. You know, recognize when you are telling versus telling. Recognize when you are telling versus showing, and then you can fix it. Number 2 mistake that I think new writers make is plot holes. I think the reason this happens is because I believe that a lot of new writers do not outline their novels. I have done it, and I cannot tell you that this was not a good idea. I mean, I will never not outline again. Like I've said in previous videos, I have written 3 novels without outlining them. And then I started writing a new novel back in November using NaNoWriMo, and I did outline that novel. And it's like night and day, and I definitely recommend that you outline. I think it would just help you clarify all the places where there's things that you've forgotten to just wrap up, meaning no plot holes. Mistake number 3, I think, is repetition. I think a lot of us, for me, that word is always just. I can't tell you how many times I repeat the word just when I am writing. So a lot of us repeat certain words or certain phrases, and that could be very jarring for the reader when they're reading your book. You know, it's like, I stop with the same words already. So I think that's a big mistake that we make. And also repeating what you've already said in the story. You know, if you're saying something about, for example, one of my beta readers caught on something that on my last novel that I'm working on right now, she caught that I was saying something about she was a teacher, and she's like, you've already told me this, you don't have to keep repeating it. So I was like, yeah, thanks for telling me. So those are the kinds of things that I think new writers really struggle with, is not recognizing that you're repeating yourself because you want to be clear, you want to clarify, but then it can come across as repetitive. Mistake number 4 is that you try to copy other people's stories. So we all read fantasy and fiction, and we fall in love with these stories and their plot. However, we need to be careful that we are not copying other people's stories. We need to just stay creative and use our minds and tell the same, you know, you can tell a story. It's kind of hard sometimes to be original because it kind of sometimes feels like we've already said, every story's been told. But in actuality, it doesn't matter how it's been told, it's the way you tell it. Mistake number 5 is no original voice. Again, this goes similar to the story. You listen to, you read a book and you love the way that author is portraying that character, and you love either the little quirks they say or whatever it is, and then you try to replicate that in your novel, and their voice is their voice and your voice is your voice. So I definitely believe that sometimes the voice gets there's a problem with the voice in the book because it's not your original voice. Mistake number 6 is lack of research. For example, let's say you are writing a fantasy novel and it's all based in the sky, and it's all fantasy, but you're still using weapons. and you haven't made it clear to the reader that their weapons are completely different than the way our weapons work. If you haven't made that clarification, and you're going to explain weapons in the same terms that we understand it to be, you need to understand how weapons work. You can't just assume, oh, I'm going to push this and whatever it is. I don't know anything about weapons, but you have to make sure that you do your research and that you're representing weapons properly, unless you've clarified that their weapons were completely different than the way we understand it. So that's just one example as far as research is concerned. If you're writing, obviously, if you're writing a history novel, you need to make sure you do your research so it doesn't contradict, and then all of a sudden the reader doesn't trust you anymore because they know that what you've said, it's not right. So yeah, I think research is a very important part of the writing process that new writers do neglect a little bit. Mistake number 7 is, I think, lack of professional editing. I did not use a professional editor for my first novel, and I really, really regret that, and I would never do that again. I would never put a book out without a professional editor taking a look at it. So I think that a lot of new writers just neglect this. It's either because of money, or because they think it's too expensive, or because they don't understand, they don't think they need it, or they just don't even know about it. But I am here to tell you that professional editors are not quite that expensive, and they're very, very valuable, and I encourage you to use them. And mistake number 8 is doubt. I believe that a lot of new writers doubt themselves, and this is understandable. It's your first novel, or your second, or your third. I have written 3 novels, and I still consider myself a new writer. And still, you know, I doubt myself, and a lot of people doubt themselves, but it's just something we have to put down. We just have to focus on our writing and our love and our passion, and just do the best job that we can. No matter what, it's never going to be perfect. No one's book is. You know, you can look at your favorite author, and probably that author also doubts herself, but she does it anyway. So that is my advice for you regarding, you know, if you're doubting yourself. If you doubt yourself, try to work through it, but do it anyway. Don't just stop. Okay, you guys, that is all I have for you guys today. I would love to hear from you. Oh, and I wanted to say that I didn't post on Monday and last Thursday because I moved. As you can see, I'm in a new space, and I'm really happy about it. I'm still working on it. This is so cute. My little grandson's hands are here. He gave it to me for Mother's Day, and I just had to put it in my office. So anyway, that's it. I would love to hear from you, and if you have any advice from me, please leave me a comment below. Like I said, I still consider myself a new writer. I am writing my novels, so if you've come across things that you see mistakes that new writers make, let me know. I make sure that I don't do it. So that's it. Remember that I am here every Monday and every Thursday, and I would love for you to subscribe if you like content like this. Until next time, stay safe.